Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today we're talking about Berg's opera Lulu. And when you talk about Lulu, there really is only one ultimate choice, at least for the complete work. Here it is, Pierre Boulez. It's just the most amazing recording. First of all, for Boulez. Second of all, because it was the premiere of the complete three-act version, which was completed by Frederick Serha. And last but certainly not least, because it enshrines the greatest role of Teresa Stratas, who was one of the 20th century's great Kunstdivas, a brilliant, thought-provoking, absolutely uninhibited, completely psychotic singer. She was as nuts as Lulu was, just about, who basically walked away from her operatic career because she couldn't take the bullshit, or wouldn't deal with the bullshit, let's put it that way. She could take anything, but she wasn't going to have it. And so this is one of her all too few recordings, and one of her very, very greatest. I mean, really is her very greatest. It's the greatest version of the opera, because you've got Boulez conducting magnificently, and you've got Stratas singing magnificently, and the sound is just fabulous, and it's just got everything you could possibly want in one of the most crazy and disturbing operas that anybody ever wrote. Let's see who else is in it here. You've got Teresa Stratas, you've got Yvonne Minton as the lesbian Countess Geschwitz, and you've got, let's see, who else have we got? Hannah Schwartz and Tony Blankenheim and Robert Tier and Franz Mazura and Kenneth Riegel and Gerd Nienstedt. Yes, and Helmut Pampuch. Wow. And it's the Paris Opera Orchestra on Deutsche Grammophon on 3 well-filled CDs. It's a big opera. It's a long opera. And for those of you who don't know the deal with Lulu, Berg died, leaving it incomplete. He had written most of the third act. It was sketched out and orchestrated some of it, because, there is the Lulu Symphony, which contains the whole closing scene and some other bits. So it was possible for Frederick Serha to come in and complete it once the composer's widow, who, like most family members of great artists, was as loony as also the characters here in Lulu, and she finally let somebody complete it. I mean, it was ridiculous. Everybody knew that it was finishable, and someone had to do it. And he did it. Serha did it fabulously. It's absolutely wonderful. You'd never know it's not Berg, possibly because it's kind of atonal, and so you'd think, well, as long as it sounds appropriately atonal, then it must be right. And well, we give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not like Mozart, where if someone else does it, you can maybe tell it's not Mozart because of various rather simple, basic things. But this is a big, huge, complex, And he had charts and graphs and test tubes and Erlenmeyer flasks and Bunsen burners and all the things you need to complete the opera. Now, the story of Lulu is really extraordinary. It's really just based on a play by Friedrich Wedekind. I mean, what's the name of the play? It's like called Earth Spirit or something like that. Yes, Earth Spirit and Pandora's Box, and it's a bunch of tragedies. And the story tells of the decline, the gradual decline of Lulu, who is a completely amoral free spirit. I mean, totally amoral. She begins as the kept woman of Dr. Schoen, who she shoots to death in Act 1. And then in Act 2, everybody is in love with her, or it wants to do for her, because she's a fascinating creature, and she manipulates everybody to her advantage up to a point, really up to the point of the murder. And the murder is the point at which her fortunes begin to turn around. So then in Act 2, all kinds of stuff happens, and she seduces Schoen's son, Alva, And she does it to the most fabulous line, one of the most fabulous lines in all of opera that really only works in German. It really does, because the verb has to be at the end. You'll see what I mean in a second. Here, let me give you the line here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There's Alva. There's Lulu and Alva. They have this big, long love scene. And up there she is. Wait a minute. So they have this seduction scene, and as he's being seduced, she says to him, as they're about to make love, she says, "Up there it is. Here we go." She says, "Ist das noch der Divan, aus dem sich dein Vater verblutet hat?" Get it? Hat. That's the verb. It's the helping verb. It's the line means in English, isn't this, as they're, groping around each other, isn't this the sofa on which your father bled to death? Because she doesn't care. And neither does he at that moment. It shows just how depraved and indifferent he's become. But just listen to the sound of that in German. It's just, ist das noch der Divan, auf dem sich dein Vater verblutet hat? Oh, it's just so creepy sounding. It's so creepy sounding because even when you're being grotesquely vile and amoral and horrifying in German, the grammar is always going to be correct. And that's the point, because the verb has to be in the second position of the sentence, and the helping verb has to be the last thing in the sentence. Therefore, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. It's fabulous. Just fabulous. So I adore this opera. I adore this performance. And in the third act, as we were doing the plot here, she goes to prison, and Countess Geschwitz, her lesbian lover, arranges for her escape during one of the most fantastic, original parts of the opera. It's a film sequence. It's an actual movie that depicts her trial, her sentencing, her escape, and whatnot. And she escapes, and so she's on the lam, and she's with her incredibly rich friends, but the stock market collapses, and they're all broke, and so they have no money, and the cops are after them, and she flees to London, where she is murdered by Jack the Ripper. And so is the Countess Geschwitz. And it's just horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. Now, of course, the thing that makes it so spooky, creepy, and extra gripping is that Jack the Ripper is played by the same guy who plays Dr. Schön, who she previously shot and killed. So the earlier characters come back, but in different roles while she's on the lam, and they enact these roles as sort of mysterious beings from her past who she has not been able to escape. And oh my gosh, it's just, it makes your skin crawl. And isn't that what we want from an opera? I mean, seriously, you want your skin to crawl. You want it to be verblutet. You want it to make you bleed. And this opera does it, and this performance does it. So it's not for the faint of heart. I'm telling you right now, be forewarned. Never mind what the musical idiom is. The style of the writing is very complex and very dissonant and absolutely gorgeous and fascinating and thrilling. It really is. What gets you is that it is the perfect accompaniment to one of the most scarifying, horripilating stories in the history of the lyric stage. And that's why I love it. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Check out the Dave's Faves playlist down below, and take care.